This is Nightline and I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. News making the headlines. Prime Minister hopes Year of the Tiger brings prosperity for Keluarga Malaysia. And Malaysia is better prepared to deal with Omicron case surge, says Khairi. Good morning. The Year of the Tiger is hoped to further strengthen the relationship between the people of all races in the country. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said it is hoped that the celebration will also bring prosperity and improve the well-being of Keluarga Malaysia.
Chinese New Year ini ataupun Tahun Baru Cina ini bukan saja disambut oleh kaum Cina tetapi seluruh kaum di Malaysia, seluruh bangsa di Malaysia ini pun menyambut sama. Dan ini melambangkan perpaduan kita sesama kaum selaras dengan semangat keluarga Malaysia yang diperkenalkan oleh kerajaan. Saya harap tahun ini akan membawa kemakmuran kepada semua, membawa kesejahteraan kepada semua dan hubungan antara kaum di negara ini terus dapat kita rapatkan lagi.
The Prime Minister said this to reporters after attending the Chinese New Year celebration organised by MCA in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday. He arrived at Wisma MCA at about 9:30 a.m. and was accompanied by his wife, Datin Sri Muhaini Zainal Abidin. The couple was greeted by MCA President Datuk Sri Dr. Wee Ka Siong, who is also Transport Minister. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri then joined the MCA leaders to mix the Yi Sang. The ceremony was enlivened with lion dance and cultural performances. Also present were cabinet ministers, including Senior International Trade and Industry Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali and Senior Defence Minister Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Hussein, as well as former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Razak and UMNO President Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi. The celebration was held in accordance with standard operating procedures, with guests limited to only 300 people, although the capacity of Dewan San Chun, where the event was held, can accommodate up to 1,500 people. The event was also posted live on the party's Facebook page. Meanwhile, MCA President Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong viewed the attendance of other party leaders at the MCA Chinese New Year celebration as a symbol of unification, while the Year of the Tiger is seen to bring about a continuous challenge for Malaysia as the country is still battling the COVID-19 pandemic.
Presiden parti seorang, kemudian ada timbalan menteri maupun di GPS atau PBB dan duta-duta yang datang begitu ramai sekali. Ini menunjukkan bahawa suasana Tahun Baru Cina pada tahun ini adalah luar biasa. Kerana kita tahu tahun harimau ni kita berdepan dengan banyak cabaran. Khususnya kita masih lagi dalam fasa keempat pelan pemulihan negara dan pandemik COVID-19 masih belum lagi habis. Dan kita masih kena berdepan dengan cabaran. Apatah lagi dalam keadaan kita dalam usaha untuk memulihkan ekonomi.
Tahun ini adalah satu tahun yang sangat mencabar kerana kita tahu selepas pandemik kita mahu kestabilan politik, kita mahu membangunkan semula ekonomi negara kita dan tahun ini juga mungkin ada pilihan raya umum. Jadi MCA akan bekerja kuat untuk kita mendapatkan semula mandat rakyat.
Untuk meraihkan Tahun Baru Cina dengan harapan Tahun Baru ini akan membawa rentak yang lebih bertenaga seperti semangat harimau dan juga harimau, lambang harimau zodiak dalam kalender Lunar Cina ini menunjukkan bahawa harimau ini unpredictable, mempunyai tenaga, mempunyai menghadapi cabaran.
At another function, the Prime Minister announced that the government has allocated grants amounting to 19.2 million ringgit this year for welfare voluntary organisations that provide care, protection and rehabilitation to the target group of the Social Welfare Department. Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the allocation was made in line with the Malaysian family concept of inclusiveness to ensure that no group would be left out.
Memang kita beri kepada OKU, pusat OKU, warga emas, rumah orang tua dan sebagainya, memang rumah orang tua ataupun warga emas lah, dan juga pusat-pusat jagaan yang lain. Memang kita mempunyai peruntukan yang khusus daripada kerajaan, dan di samping itu kanak-kanak istimewa dan juga orang tua yang tidak tinggal di rumah yang dikhaskan oleh kerajaan ataupun NGO ni, kerajaan juga mempunyai peruntukan walaupun mereka tinggal di kampung, di rumah sendiri.
The Prime Minister said this to reporters during a visit to the Selangor King George V Silver Jubilee Fund Care Centre for the Elderly in conjunction with a Chinese New Year celebration on Tuesday. Also present were the Prime Minister's wife, Datin Sri Muhaini Zainal Abidin, and Women, Family and Community Development Minister, Datuk Sri Rina Muhammad Harun. The assistance provided by the government for the welfare voluntary organisations included the Geran Rangsum for food and beverages, administration grant, special allowance for PWD students, per capita grant and repair grant. During the visit, the Prime Minister also handed over ang pao and food packs to the residents. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Rina Harun said the government had channelled special assistance to 1,225 care centres for the PWDs and senior citizens that were affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. The arrival of this year's Chinese New Year festival was celebrated on a moderate scale nationwide, with strict adherence to standard operating procedures to curb the spread of COVID-19. After a muted Chinese New Year celebration for the past 2 years, the Chinese community took the opportunity to usher in the Year of the Tiger with loved ones and close family members. In Selangor, the Chinese community ushered in the new year with moderate activities following the unpredictable weather, especially after the massive floods that hit the state recently. Traditional dragon and lion dances enlivened the festive atmosphere amid strict compliance with the SOPs set by the government. Lion and dragon dance troupes are breathing a sigh of relief this year as they have been allowed to perform during Chinese New Year after not being permitted to do so for 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In Terengganu, the Peranakan community at Kampung Tiro in Marang ushered in the Year of the Tiger in their own unique way, as has been practiced for generations. The Chinese New Year celebrations here are quite different, as dishes such as nasi dagang, nasi lemak and traditional kueh are prepared for guests and relatives. According to a 72-year-old resident, there are about only 10 families still living in the village, as most of the younger generation often opt to move away to the city in search for a living.
Masa saya muda dulu, banyak orang Melayu pun ada kok campur. Sekarang dah kurang dah sikit. Yang tua-tua tu dah meninggal dah. Tinggal muda-muda ni kurang campur sikit. Dah macam dulu lah.
The Chinese community in Malacca also ushered in the new year on a moderate scale. For one family in particular, the allowance for interstate travel and to hold the Chinese New Year reunion dinner was a much welcome relief after not being able to gather as a family for so long. The Teo siblings travelled from as far as the Klang Valley, Johor, Sabah to be together with their mother, who lives alone in Air Keroh following the passing of their father a few years back.
Kita dapat selamat sampai, bertemu dengan family yang dah lama kita tidak jumpa, dan especially my mother lah. Yeah. Being the only orang kata duduk sini, dah lama kita tak jumpa, so rindunya boleh katakan rindulah kan. Sangat rindu. So jadi kita pun berikhtiar. Dan kita risau juga pasal COVID ni semua. Tapi oleh kerana kerajaan telah membenarkan kita, dan dengan dos-dos semua yang kita telah ambil, membuatkan kita boleh berjumpa keluarga lah.
In Pulau Pinang, the Chinese community ushered in the new year in a cheerful mood. Checks at several temples in Georgetown found that the religious ceremonies went smoothly, with devotees complying with the SOP set. After being celebrated in a more subdued manner for the past 2 years, this time around many people took the opportunity to visit the temples along with close friends and family members, with a large number of devotees arriving since early morning to perform their rituals.
From a music executive to an airline magnate, one of Asia's most recognizable entrepreneurs, known globally for his appetite for risk and innovation, having received accolades from international media and industry observers. Up close with Tan Sri Tony Fernandez on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
Now, Malaysia is seen as better prepared to deal with the surge in COVID-19 cases due to the Omicron variant and know-how to protect the most vulnerable. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said the situation was not the same as seen in June to September last year, because the country is better protected now through vaccination under the COVID-19 National Immunisation Programme. In a tweet on Tuesday, Khairi said that more than a month prior, it had been expected that Omicron would become dominant in the country as it has elsewhere, and that the number of cases would rise. As such, he said the government decided to speed up its booster program. Khairi added that there is no need to panic, as the country is now seeing the earlier predicted quick rise in cases, as there is a strong indication of decoupling between severe outcomes and cases. Khairi said the vaccination programs for adults, adolescents and soon for children aged 5 to 11 are working well too, as the hospital utilisation rate remains under control. He added that this was the reason the government was able to shorten the quarantine period, allow people to self-regulate and to keep disruption to a minimum. With more than 50% of adults and almost 70% of the elderly having received their COVID-19 booster dose, Khairi said Malaysia had every hope that it could weather the Omicron wave with carefully calibrated and proportionate measures. Perikatan Nasional PN will decide on the list of candidates for the Johor state election within a week's time. Its chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the matter had been discussed with PAS and Gerakan.
Calon tu dah ada, tapi kita belum putuskan siapa yang nak pilih. Alright. Omicron berada dalam kalangan.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin had previously said that PN would contest in all the 56 state constituencies in the Johor state election. When asked who will be fielded to replace him in Gambir, since he had expressed the intention to not defend the seat, Tan Sri Muhyiddin, who is also Bersatu President, said sometimes it is difficult to choose as Johor has many qualified candidates. MCA President Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong said that talks on seat allocations for the Johor state election will only be conducted after Chinese New Year. He urged all parties to be patient, adding that the party upholds the tradition of carrying out decisions in the spirit of musyawarah or consensus, and this has been practiced since independence.
Semua pihak tidak perlu berasa gentar ataupun berasa panik kerana pembahagian kerusi 56 DUN Johor akan dilakukan selepas tahun baru Cina. Jadi kita bersabarlah. Sebab saya sejak jadi presiden, mana ada satu sekali saya akan kata saya nak tuntut kerusi di itu, tak pernah. Kerana ini adalah adat kita, inilah cara kerja kita. Kita mempunyai semangat musyawarah sejak kemerdekaan, bukan hari ini.
He was asked whether MCA had finalised its seat allocation for the Johor state polls following talks that UMNO might want to take some of the seats held by MCA. Datuk Sri Wee said under Barisan Nasional, MCA was able to air its views and exchange ideas on the matter within the coalition. Asked on talks that he would be contesting in any of the state seats, Datuk Sri Dr. Wee stressed that he would not entertain such speculations. And still to come, man found dead with gunshot wounds at car park of condominium. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Road Transport Department has not ruled out the possibility that activities of selling illegally obtained licenses online, as claimed in a viral social media post, is linked to a fraud, syndicate or scammers. Its Director General, Dr. Zailani Hashim, said investigations by its officers who went undercover found that once payments for the said license were made, The scammers disappeared without a trace. Following that, Datuk Zailani said the Road Transport Department is now actively conducting investigations and will take further action against the syndicate.
Tindakan kata scammer, ini scammer semua ni. Tidak ada satu situasi pun orang di negara kita boleh dapat lesen melalui bayar kepada pihak-pihak berkenaan, dan saya sendiri ingin saya tegaskan, saya rasa Datuk Cabi pun ketua boleh tahu kita tak kompromis dengan mana-mana anggota kita yang terlibat dengan benda-benda yang tak berintegriti ni, dan sebelum pada ini pun SPRM pun dah pun mengambil tindakan kepada anggota JPJ sendiri yang terlibat dengan salah laku, salah guna kuasa, tidak berintegriti di Penang, di Johor, di Melaka, di Perlis.
He added the department will also seek cooperation from Cybersecurity Malaysia to trace the syndicate's IP address, besides also collaborating with the police and the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission to address the issue. Earlier, it was reported that a Twitter user had shared a screenshot of an Instagram account bearing the name Smart Driving Academy, believed to be offering a low-fee driving license without having to attend classes and driving tests. A total of 17 individuals were detained following raids on 2 illegal gambling dens in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur. The raids were carried out by the Bukit Aman CID Anti-Vice Gambling and Secret Societies Division D7 on Monday evening. The first raid was conducted at a shop house at Jalan Batu Tiga Lama in Klang at about 6:45 p.m. Authorities detained 11 local men and 2 local women along with a foreign woman aged between 21 and 50. Also seized were 14 laptops, a modem and 1,598 ringgit in cash. Meanwhile, the second raid carried out a few hours later was at a business premises at Setapak Jaya at about 10:45 p.m, where police detained 3 local men aged between 21 and 35. Authorities also seized 4 laptops, 2 tablets, a mobile phone, a router, a modem, and 205 ringgit in cash. It is believed that the premises had been operating for about 2 months and raking in about 5,000 ringgit in profits monthly. A man was found dead in a car park of a luxury condominium at Jalan Baru in Seberang Perai, Pulau Pinang on Monday night with at least 12 gunshot wounds to his body. State Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Shuhaili Muhammad Zain said they were alerted to the incident involving a 31-year-old local man at around 9:30 p.m. The man was found lying face down and covered in blood on the 3rd floor of the parking lot, and police believe that the victim was shot by more than one person. He said the police also found 12 bullet shells at the scene and did not rule out revenge as a possible motive for the incident.
Kita masih lagi siasat, kita percayai mungkin 2 atau lebih orang. Berapa tembakan kita tak pasti, tapi apa yang kita boleh dapat tahu daripada kerongsong yang kita temui, mungkin 12 das tembakan telah dilepaskan lah. Berapa yang mengenai sasaran dan sebagainya itu kita sedang siasat.
Investigations found that the victim, who was on the police wanted list and had several previous criminal records, had been living at the condominium for the past 5 months. The body was sent to the Seberang Jaya Hospital for autopsy, and the case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. Still to come, China's widely used Sinovac and Sinopharm shots most effective against Delta variant. Onto the foreign front, COVID-19 has dampened travel plans of millions of Chinese for the Lunar New Year in the past 2 years. Widely regarded as the most important time to be with family for the Chinese community, hundreds of millions of people took the opportunity this year to usher in the Year of the Tiger with loved ones and close family members. In London, people gathered to see dragon and lion dancing in Trafalgar Square after the annual parade was cancelled for the second time in a row due to England only recently moving away from Plan B restrictions imposed to tackle the Omicron variant. Nelson's column in central London was lit up in red, and other projections were seen in the square itself to mark Chinese New Year. In Australia, as elsewhere in Asia, people prepared for the celebrations as increasing vaccination rates raised in hoping the Year of Tiger might bring life back closer to normal. The Lunar New Year celebrations taking place in Melbourne on Tuesday were subdued amid concerns over the coronavirus and the Omicron variant. Over in Metro Manila, people welcomed the Tiger Year in the Chinese lunar calendar with less traditional fanfare and crowded festivities in public spaces, even as authorities gradually ease COVID-19 lockdown protocols and allow citizens more movement outside their homes. Tensions between Russia and the United States over Moscow's troop buildup near Ukraine spilled into the United Nations Security Council on Monday, with both countries accusing each other of being provocative. Russia failed to stop the US requested council meeting on the buildup, allowing for a public face-off over what the US and other nations called a threat to international peace and security.
Imagine how uncomfortable you would be if you had 100,000 troops sitting on your border in the way that these troops are sitting on the border with Ukraine. For us, this is about peace and security. It's about honoring the UN Charter that calls on us as members of the Security Council to protect peace and security. So this is not about antics. It's not about rhetoric. It's not about US and Russia. What this is about is the peace and security of one of our member states.
She added Washington has seen evidence that Moscow plans to deploy 30,000 more troops in Belarus by early February, which the aggression has threatened Ukraine, Europe and the international order. However, Russia's UN ambassador Vasily Nebenzia said there was no proof Moscow was planning military action against Ukraine and that Russia had consistently rejected such accusations. Moving on, China's two most widely used COVID-19 vaccines developed by Sinovac and Sinopharm were shown to be effective against the Delta variant, a study based on real-world data showed Tuesday. Both of the vaccines were 52% effective against Delta infection and 60% for symptomatic disease. However, according to researchers from a local disease control authority and two Chinese universities, the study did not generate sufficient data to deliver effectiveness readings for the two vaccines separately or by age groups. The data is based on an analysis of more than 100 infections and more than 10,000 of their close contacts during a Delta outbreak in the southern Chinese province of Guangdong last year. Apart from China, the two vaccines were also widely used in several countries, including Indonesia, Brazil, and the United Arab Emirates. Aubameyang signs for Barcelona on a free transfer. Stay tuned. Football, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang agreed a sensational free transfer from Arsenal to Spanish giant Barcelona to cap a frantic deadline day as clubs race against the clock to complete their business on Tuesday. The negotiations seem to have broken down between Arsenal and Barcelona over Aubameyang at the early stage of the deal, despite the striker's arrival in the city on Monday morning. However, an agreement was finally reached after he accepted a significant pay cut to facilitate the move. Meanwhile, Frank Lampard's Everton beat Crystal Palace to the loan signing of Donny van de Beek from Manchester United before securing a stunning deal for Tottenham's Dele Alli worth up to £40 million. Ali's move to Everton continued a deadline exodus from Spurs, with Tanguy Ndombele, Brian Hill and Giovanni Lo Celso leaving on loan for Lyon, Valencia and Villarreal respectively, as head coach Antonio Conte raided his former club Juventus for 2 new recruits. Manchester City were also active, confirming the signing of Argentinian striker Julian Alvarez from River Plate, a player seen as one for the future. There was also a major deadline arrival north of the border as Aaron Ramsey agreed a shock loan move to Scottish Premiership leaders Rangers from Juventus. The former Arsenal midfielder could now make his debut for the club against rivals Celtic on Wednesday, live on Sky Sports. And that's it for Nightline this time around. As we wrap, let's take a look at a spectacular light show in Qingdao, Shandong Province, China, where displays of Chinese characters sparked on the surface of skyscrapers, symbolizing peace, happiness and joy. With that, I'm Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan. Thank you for watching and stay safe.